What do you see right now? Do you see 4 pictures? Do you see 4 people? You're wrong, of course. They're all the same person. You always knew, deep down in your heart, for the 7 minutes that I was running that intro. You knew. We know that they are one and the same. And in this stream, I will be showing you the evidence I have collected over the past 25 years of my life. Information which will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. Information which will lead to the discovery of the Greys. Information that will blow Area 51 wide open, which will make unnecessary our proletarian invasion of the premises. But before we get to all that, how are we doing, folks? We having a good ass day? Do we want to get it out of the way now? Here, here. We can take a moment to celebrate. How do I line it up? Epstein's dead. See? We're having a little moment here. Let's talk about it. This is going to be a short stream with a small discussion afterwards. Only so much to say on this subject. So hey Pete the Wookiee. So let's get right into it, okay? First of all, let's examine the facts of the matter. Fact number 1, Epstein is dead. He was found earlier today, this morning, having hung himself in his fancy pants prison cell. He was on suicide watch up until apparently recently, at which point he was taken off suicide watch, which is a very reasonable thing to do with somebody who allegedly attempted suicide less than a month ago. What's more, it seemed he was not under any type of supervision at the time of his alleged suicide. And what's more, and this I have seen reported by news outlets, but I haven't yet seen a source, so I'm going to wait on that before substantiating it fully. But it has been said that 2 of the guards who were posted to Epstein's cell were told to leave the premises for 3 hours for maintenance. And when they came back, he was dead. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about what happened. Epstein, why he was in jail, why he's dead now. All right. Where is that? There we go. My friends, this right here is an affidavit, which is a signed testament or statement that is presented to a court as evidence. And within it, there are a number of allegations. These constitute a very, very small part of what seemed to be a broad list of grievances associated with Epstein. See, Epstein was a financier, and moreover, he has been known for decades to be a philanthropizing billionaire child pimp, that he works with the wealthy, and in exchange for his support, cooperation, resources, and connections, he will offer the wealthy in the world some sweet 12-year-old fuckholes. That was the deal. He ran the Lolita Express, a nice fancy pants plane that you could hop on board. Plenty of people have been on that plane, the Clintons, Trump, blah, blah, blah. And there were, they had some ripe, nubile clientele that were sort of working that track. He had a mansion on an island. Lots of shit took place there. We can read, I don't want to go extensively into the allegations here, but let's take a moment to read this. So this is an affidavit. I personally witnessed one occasion where Mr. Trump forced the plaintiff, this is under oath, forced the plaintiff and a 12-year-old female named Maria to perform oral sex on Mr. Trump, and witnessed his physical abuse of both minors when they finished the act. I personally witnessed, or was made immediately aware, of the 2 occasions where my boss, Mr. Epstein, attempted to rape and sodomize the plaintiff in this case being one of the girls who was victimized to this. I personally witnessed Mr. Epstein sexually and physically abusing other minor females even younger than her. Apparently this was somebody who worked for Epstein. We can go for quite a while. The statement is not limited to one document. It was my job to personally witness and supervise encounters between the underage girls that Mr. Epstein hired as guests. I personally witnessed Mr. Trump physically threaten the life and well-being of the plaintiff if she ever revealed the details of the physical and sexual abuse suffered by her at the hands of Mr. Trump. Same, Mr. Epstein physically threatening the life, blah, 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 rape, sexual assault, murder, death. I was hired by and paid directly by Mr. Epstein from the years of 1991 to 2000 to attract adolescent women to attend these parties. Forced to perform various sexual acts with Trump and Epstein, sexual encounters during this period, forcibly raped her despite her pleas to stop. Plaintiff Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Over the course of this savage sexual attack, Plaintiff Johnson, that's the girl, loudly pleaded with Trump to please wear a condom. Trump responded by violently striking Johnson in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted as he refused to wear protection. So that's this is just a small part, one affidavit of one interaction between Epstein, Trump, and those girls, picked from a career that spanned decades. So that's cool. That's a thing. Now that's all an affidavit signed, put forward as testimony under oath by the plaintiff, who I'm sure will have an accident sometime soon, and so on and so forth. So, Pig Puncher, I would love to see those DMs. Now, this is what's written here. Again, this is a very small part of a career of Epstein's that has lasted decades. This is not the first time that he's been incarcerated for soliciting prostitution from minors. He, being a billionaire, is able to skirt these charges quite well. In fact, the last time he was arrested for this, I forget what the specific charge was. It was either soliciting prostitution of a minor, fucking a minor. I have no idea. Who cares? The last time this happened, he was able to plea his case down to 18 months or something. And rather than spend the entirety of his time in prison, he was allowed 6 days out of the week to fly out of the prison to his private estate, where he no doubt continued to rape girls while serving a sentence for raping girls. Now, if any of you are surprised by this, I'm very, very sorry to hit you with this, but you're desperately naive. The wealthy and powerful have throughout time used their power to abuse others, because that is one of the greatest ways you can achieve some sort of gratuitous sort of appreciation for your own power. Power is, after all, the ability to make other people do things against their will. That's essentially what power is, or to do things they would not otherwise do. So right now, all of you are watching me stream. You wouldn't be watching me stream if I had absolutely no social power whatsoever. You're doing so because I have accrued that power. That's the relationship we have going. Thankfully, this one's consensual. That's not how all power works. There are plenty of types of power that cannot be exercised consensually. Now, let me ask you this. If you were uber wealthy, truly phenomenally wealthy, a billionaire, connections to politicians, actors, musicians, financiers all across the world, how would you demonstrate that power in a visceral way? I mean, you could, if you wanted to, do cocaine and fuck a bunch of hookers and so on. I'm sure that'd be very fun and all. Anyone can do that. Anybody can do that. I could do that if I wanted to. I'm a little bit skint on cash at the moment because I just moved, but let me save up for a couple of months. I could do that. That's not how you show power. If the normies can get away with something like that rather easily. No. To truly demonstrate your power, you have to do something so ostensibly outrageous that nobody but you could get away with it. Fucking hookers, cocaine in a penthouse? Pfft. Any fucking tech six-figure salary dude can do that. Now, running a pedophilia ring for decades with the wealthiest and most powerful people in the world, raping children under the eyes of every investigatory agency that exists and getting away with it for decades, that is some billionaire shit right there. That, I couldn't do that. That's a little bit out of my, realm, you know? It's a little bit beyond what I am capable of doing. That's how you show power. If anyone's interested in like the psychology of power, how it corrupts, how it influences people, how it affects the ways in which they express themselves, there are plenty of readings that you can do on that literature, which I am unfamiliar with. I am not a psychologist nor a psychiatrist. I am not qualified to discuss that in detail, but I think there is something we can say with some degree of reasonable certainty, and it's this. Power acquired past a certain point increases dramatically the likelihood that somebody will have to turn towards egregiously immoral behavior to feel any sense of satisfaction with themselves, to extol their power, to present it to themselves in a way that makes them feel satisfied, that makes it worthwhile what they've done to get to where they are. So, with all of that in mind, with the things that they've done in mind, there are a couple of things that I want to talk about here. First, involving the suicide and the circumstances surrounding it. Secondly, involving who to blame. And thirdly, involving where we go from here. So, the details of the suicide are as such. Epstein was arrested, and within Epstein's skull, there is information enough to single-handedly cripple the American political system. Single-handedly. I have no doubt in my mind, and you can look on the logs of the people who have ridden on the Lolita Express. I have no doubt in my mind that were he put to some magical truth serum, were he to lay out all information, divinely truthful, accepted at its face, without any of the sort of surrounding investigations which would normally accompany such a testimony, that would be information enough to single-handedly collapse the American government. There are too many people involved. There are too many people in too deep. So that's not going to happen. The American political system is a little bit more resilient than that. So how do you deal with this as an operator, as a political agent, as somebody who could be implicated in Epstein's memories? Well, you can either let him testify and run everything he says and does through every legal means possible to discredit him, to fight against all of the evidence, to manufacture counter evidence. This is a very time-consuming, legal, costly procedure, and it would nonetheless lead to the denigration of a great many reputations. So that's really off the table. You can have him just go to jail. You can just tell him, like, flat out, hey, Epstein, you're not saying shit. We'll kill your whole family. We'll kill everyone. We don't care. You're not saying shit. Go to jail. Probably risky. If I was in the position of any of the people who might be implicated by testimony from Epstein, I would probably have him killed. That's a reasonable thing to do. This isn't like, there's a reason why that's written into the plots of so many spy, thriller, political intrigue stories, you know? It's because it's a reasonable solution to a problem that many powerful figures have faced throughout history. Really, though, there are three options when it comes to his death now. It's entirely possible that Epstein could have killed himself authentically, on his own. Without any sort of outside coercion. I find this incredibly unlikely, but people do kill themselves when they're facing serious charges or serious public denigration. However, given the fact that Epstein has bulked charges like this before, I don't know. Add into the fact that he attempted to kill himself less than a month ago and has since then been taken off suicide watch in spite of being the single highest profile prisoner that America has had in, like, what, a decade? 2 decades? The fact that he was allowed to kill himself all means that the prison was complicit in his death. I don't know the particulars, the details on why the suicide watch was revoked, or why guards were not posted at the time of his death, or why he wasn't literally being fucking hot glued to a straitjacket and kept in solitary confinement under permanent watch until the day of his trial. Because that's what should have happened. But it didn't happen. He died, which means that no matter what, even if his suicide was 100% on him, which I sincerely doubt, the prison is still complicit in allowing it to happen. So no matter what, even in the most innocent conceivable, even in the most innocuous possible scenario, a full investigation should be launched. AOC and Barr have already called for it on Twitter. I'm sure absolutely nothing will come of it because that's how these things tend to go. The second option is that Epstein was coerced into suicide, meaning that someone from the outside would have informed him, hey, we can inflict immeasurable harm to you, to your reputation, to your family, to everything you love and care about, to your property, to your legacy. The only way out is for you to kill yourself. Just do it. Do what you need to do, and we will take care of things from there. Just kill yourself. And Epstein did it. And the third option is that he was murdered, that he didn't want to kill himself, that instead some other shenaniganry happened. I'm not an investigator, and I'm not going to pretend to be. The point I'm trying laboriously to get to here is that there's no real difference between these three instances. It doesn't really matter which of these three things happened. It genuinely doesn't. Can you think of a reason why it might matter? In one case or another, either through very deliberate negligence or through malice, a person who had information which could lead to the arrest of a great many political figures died when he shouldn't have, when there was every conceivable reason why he should have been protected, when there was absolutely no excuse for him to have had even the slightest chance of ending his own life or having his life ended by another. No matter what, an investigation should be conducted. It will lead invariably to nothing. And the reason it will lead to nothing is because this is not the first time this has happened. If you go back in history and read up on the history of civil rights protesters in America, you will find that America is actually rife with examples of people who had the government in a compromising position and died mysteriously. This is not like new. This isn't like fantasy shit. This is it's like Game of Thrones. This is a very real thing that happens. The most obvious example that comes to my mind, probably because I'm quite a fan of his personally, being Fred Hampton, him being gunned down by the police in collaboration with the FBI in Chicago, and the police came up with a myriad excuse on how, actually they needed to shoot in, and investigation showed that lie after lie after lie was unveiled. That was just a political assassination, but nobody really got in trouble over it. How could they? This isn't new, this process of killing people who are inconvenient to the system. It's unusual for them to take on somebody this powerful, Epstein, but you do what you have to do. Epstein is powerful, but not as powerful as the combined political interests of everyone he had dirt on. And things don't really tend to come from this. There's not going to be a bombshell investigation. At most, maybe. There might be some charges of negligence to the warden or to some people involved, or maybe a couple smaller fries will go down, that sort of thing, That really the sort of small concession to make people feel a sense of satisfaction 6 months down the line. Right now, we're all in a big rage over it, but then as the months pass and the information feed starts to trickle slower and slower and other newer scandals rise to the forefront, we're going to forget, or at least we're going to care less, that somebody whose information could have led to the arrest of literally dozens of incredibly powerful public officials was in all likelihood murdered or coerced to suicide in a prison where he should have been kept on 24/7 watch. And then maybe someone will be arrested. Some small figure, someone who doesn't really matter, someone who can't really change anything. That's what we'll get. That's all we're going to get. There are going to be a lot of memes about this, about like Trump or Hillary calling the kill or whatever, and maybe, I don't know, Trump raped the kids, Hillary raped the kids. I don't care. They're rich people. They're politicians. Of course they did. But I would like us, I think, to direct our antipathy a little bit more reasonably here. The problem here isn't the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. The problem here isn't the Trumps or the Hillarys or the Clintons or whatever. The problem here fundamentally is wealth. The problem here is capitalism. The problem here is that the political system and the justice system are oriented in ways to serve the interests of the wealthy. That wealth is a toxin that kills democracy and egalitarianism. See, a lot of people, mostly capitalists, capitalists would like you to believe that being a billionaire is reaping the rewards of a lifetime of success. And you're just like anyone else, really. You just get to have a really nice house, and you get to have lots of boats, and you don't really hurt anyone. If anything, you contribute with your genius and your resources, and as a reward, you get to enjoy some nice, fancy things that most people don't, but ultimately harmless, leaving aside the fact that every single billionaire on Earth is a living totem to wealth inequality, and that any one of them could feed, house, clothe tens or even hundreds of thousands of people with their wealth alone. Leaving that aside, that system, that proposed innocuousness of billionaires, really falls apart when you consider the fact that as of this moment in the United States of America, I cannot think of a single instance in which the justice system or the political system has treated fairly the crimes of a billionaire. Can you think of an example? I'm genuinely curious. Please, in chat, can you think of an example of a billionaire who did a crime like a common man and got locked up like a common man? Because I can't. And what do you do then when the wealthiest people in society have more options than any other to contact and leverage power broker deals with their political officials because they have the money to donate to their campaigns? When you have interests cohabitating between the wealthy and the politically powerful, if they're not one and the same already, Epstein probably could have ran for Senate and won just based on the money alone that he had to put into the campaign. Easily. In fact, I would bet my life on it that Epstein could have won a Senate seat just like that, except I don't know why he would do that. It would probably denote a loss of power, if anything, for him. That's how wealth corrupts this system. Capitalism and democracy are fundamentally at odds with one another, because the wealthier you are in a capitalist system, the greater the extent to which you can form connections that insulate you from the commonalities that are supposed to bind people in a democracy. Fair and equal treatment under the law, due process. These things don't work for billionaires. The courts don't work for billionaires. Can I ask you something? Have you ever been watching, think of a TV show, movie, cartoon, something or other, where a group of intrepid young adventurers are fighting against a corrupt system, and there's a big villain. This can even be an anime. We can go real cartoonish with this one. And you get like a villain, and they defeat the villain, and they capture the villain. And what one of the people in the party, probably the more like naive, intrepid one, what they say is, we need to bring this person in for justice. But then another person reaches out, and they put their hand on the shoulder of the first person. They say, there's no court that can process this person. We just need to kill them. And that's supposed to be like the like edgy anti-hero thing, but you know in your head that that's completely correct. Have you ever had that feeling before? I see that a lot in media. It's like a common trope right there. I guess I'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. It's a very common trope. And it's very unsatisfying for me when they don't follow through on the sort of grounding logic of that cliche, because courts aren't equal. Courts are a very specific tool that serve the needs of a very specific group of people. That is to say, they enforce laws on common people, and those laws are designed to maintain the stability of a system that propagates the interests of the people who can fund the politicians who write those laws. In some cases, those laws are written directly by corporations that then slide the paper, the bill, the document over to the politicians and ask them politely to sign. Anyone who believes that capitalism and democracy are capable of coexisting fairly is a madman. There's no other real like soft way to put that. They're delusional. They have no fucking idea what they're talking about. It's not possible for these two things to coexist, because democracy resides in the idea that no one is above the law, and capitalism places people in positions where they're capable of putting the law beneath themselves, of stepping on it. So to get through that, I think, Epstein's suicide, whatever, we can call it a suicide of the billionaire class. Very little is going to come from this, but there is some good, I think. Maybe. We can get something. Let's be optimistic, okay? It's still possible that some evidence is going to come out. There are still going to be investigations run on the people who survived his pedo ring industry. There are still going to be investigations, warrants signed for his billionaire mansion. Maybe something will come from it. I doubt it, but it's possible. But here's the thing that I think we can glean most from this. And I address this now to liberals. I know you're not watching right now because all my chat's lefties or Nazis. The Nazis hate watch. The lefties just want to suck my dick. Liberals, what will it take for you to stop believing in this system? When you live in a country where it is possible for obscenely wealthy and powerful people to avoid legal charges being brought against them for heinous things by killing off people who have information that might lead to their incarceration, when the courts are utterly incapable of processing these people, how long does this need to go on before you recognize the system isn't going to function the way you want it to? You know, political violence. We're all very against political violence here, aren't we, boys? Can we get some hypers in chat for how anti-political violence we are right now? Yeah, exactly. We hate political violence here. But let's reframe our criticisms a little bit, okay? We're not going to talk about political violence. Instead, I'm going to tell you guys a story. It's a really, really popular story, okay? And in this instance, in this case, since we're talking about ideas and not history, the story is actually more important than the reality. So the story is what we're going to focus on, okay? The story is that of the American Revolution. You see, some 250 years ago, the colonists who lived here in the Americas lived under a fairly repressive series of taxations and laws and edicts passed by the King of England. You know this. And midst those colonists, there were a group of well-educated political elites who were familiar with the philosophies of the Enlightenment, things which taught about free trade and democracy and egalitarianism and fraternity and everyone under the law and what have you. And these people looked at their colonies, livid under the oppression of the English monarch, and they thought this would be the perfect time to demonstrate the legitimacy and the superiority of these ideas. And there is no way other than that which we were about to go about to attain this society. And the American Revolution was not bloodless. The American Revolution was not just American and British soldiers fighting one another. In the colonies, there were still plenty of civilians who were loyal to the British Empire. Do you know what happened to these people? Do you know what happened to the judges, the civilian judges who were appointed by the king? Do you know what happened to the governors? Do you know what happened to the taxmen? Do you think that America was built through a civil declaration of war between two legal entities on comparable footing? Well, the American revolutionaries and the founding fathers of this country were a little bit less naive than that. They were aware of the fact that when you are dealing with a fundamentally unequal system in which it is impossible to attain justice through the legal means provided, there is but one way to attain justice, and that is illegally. And they threw a revolution, and a great many people died, many of them innocent, mind you, many of them just common American peasants loyal to the monarchy. Many, many people died. And because of their deaths, we got to form this country, and this country, depending on who you ask, was maybe worth founding. That's a story we like to tell ourselves. And it's a nice story because it teaches us something very valuable about dealing with the political process. And that's this. And this has been true throughout history. Since the beginning of time, there have been two ways to change a system politically, and that is legally and illegally. When you do it legally, you do it from within the framework of the system, what you are allowed to do. And when you do it illegally, you do it from without that system. So you have legal ways of changing things. The civil rights movement, for example, though there were, by the way, many riots that accompanied it. It was by no means a bloodless struggle. A lot of people like to paint over that. But by and large, civil rights movement, pretty legal, you know? Because at the end of the day, America can function while treating black people, or at least while pretending to treat black people like full citizens. It can get by. Now, of course, materially, not very much has changed since the civil rights movement, but okay, that's what you get for doing things legally. But there are also a great many things that we now enjoy today that had to be pursued from without that system. And we venerate those things today. The American Revolution is a phenomenal example. Do you think there was any legal means by which America could have seceded and eschewed the monarchy without violence or blood? No, probably not. Would you have rather they not, to preserve principles of modern, peaceful, liberal, incrementalist sensibilities? Would you like to be living under a monarchy now? Or... I wouldn't. I'm fine like this, actually. I prefer this. But you can go back farther. I mean, do you know how many slave revolts there were in between the legal abolition of slavery in America and the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade? Do you have any idea how many times the civilizations we now call home fought tooth and nail to defend themselves against outside influences, internal influences, to fight against tyranny and oppression? What would you have said then to the slaves of Egypt rising up against their oppressors, to the myriad revolutions that have defined sort of the political zeitgeist as we've moved forward from the pharaohs to the monarchs to the theocrats to the mercantilist merchant empires to where we now live in this day and age? History is built on conflict, and that conflict is most necessary when you live within a society that does not give you the ability to make meaningful changes to the injustices you experience. And what, I ask you, is a greater example of that inability to find justice than a billionaire class capable of getting away with running a child rape ring for decades in the public eye? Everyone knew what Epstein was doing. Everyone, with hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of people complicit in some degree or another, and nothing coming of it. Because the legal system is utterly unequipped to handle these people. It is not capable of processing people with that level of power. What do you need? What does it take? What's the limit there? We love this story. Have you ever seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Have you ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? How many stories have you seen, personally, where an intrepid group of heroes living within an unjust society have traveled around, realized that the roots of their political system are corrupt to their core, and risen up against it in a thrilling climax that led to the overthrow of the political zeitgeist and a new system put in line? I think Full Metal Alchemist is actually a perfect example of this. If you've seen it, it's one of the most popular anime of all time. Did you know the story starts with two people who are essentially military officers traveling around realizing that their government is corrupt, not only corrupt, but that the systems built in place are at their core irredeemable, and that the only way to make their society a just one again is to storm the capital, to break those systems down, to kill everyone involved in that process, and to build it up again anew. It's a great story. You've seen it a dozen times, but when you see it, You imagine, this is a little cognitive dissonance that you engage in, you imagine differences between the system being destroyed there and the system we live in today. We live today in a system in which our corporations, these aren't even governments, these are corporations, wreak havoc, leveraging slavery and debt peonage across the world to keep millions and sometimes billions of people in perpetual poverty. We live in a nation where, as of, what was it, yesterday? Hundreds of people who successfully sued a class action lawsuit against Koch Foods for years of sexual harassment. ICE showed up the next day. Yoink those people. Half of them returned the next day. Oof. Turns out it wasn't so much about immediately dealing with a threat as it was scaring the people out of their successful class action lawsuit. We live in a country in which corporations leverage state power to set up banana republics to invade other countries so that our businesses have an easier time leveraging deals against the peasantry, the future slaves of the nations that we set up our little pithy fascist dictators in. We live in a country that has brutalized the rest of the planet for a century now, and more in some cases. A country in which a substantial portion of our population is in prison or kept in a perpetual cycle of income inequality, where our systems of law and justice and order are literally not capable of processing the wealthy and the crimes they commit, which are, in terms of consequential outcome, 1,000, 1,000,000 times as heinous and severe as anything that I, a common man, could do with my 2 hands, or a gun, or a bomb. But I would go to jail, and they would not. And the reason why that is because there is fundamentally no difference, no essential characteristic which divides our society and the societies we love to see defeated in those movies and TV shows and animes and mangas and books and comics that we like to read and watch. There is no essential difference. Absolutely none. What cartoonish level of villainy would you need to see demonstrated in our society today, apart from the President of the United States having had literally dozens of allegations of rape, one of which was sort of circumvented through a philanthropizing child pimp who now have multiple testimonies of a relationship between the two in which our sitting president raped and threatened and abused 12-year-old girls. Is that enough? Can you imagine? What's it, in the Hunger Games? That's the part where Katniss Everdeen hacked into the evil government files and found the video of the president of the Hunger Games raping 12-year-olds for decades. And then what would happen in the books is she would find some way to broadcast that to the entire TV network so everyone would watch the president raping 12-year-olds for decades. It would literally just be years of footage forever, just of the president raping kids, and it would never have to repeat because he does it so often. And then like society would collapse because everyone would lose faith in the system. Except what would happen here today is if that happened, it would get shut down and half the population, more probably, would call it fake news, and there would be a big legal scandal. Katniss Everdeen would be arrested and probably slipped on a banana peel and tripped downstairs, hit her head and died in jail, and nothing substantial would change. The only real difference between the societies we love to see overthrown in stories and the society in which we live today is that it's infinitely easier to overthrow the societies we love to see overthrown in books and movies and what have you. That's the big difference right there, you know? Because in those stories, all it takes is some shocking, groundbreaking evidence of the corruption of the government, and everyone goes, oh shit, it's all corrupt, we gotta start over. Whereas in this society, evidence to that effect comes out week after week after week and nothing changes. But there is an answer to this, and it's for you to stop being a fucking pussy, okay? I'm not saying you have to go out there right now with a Maz and a Molotov cocktails and start bombing places. Don't do that. We're very against political violence here, okay? All right? We're very against that. Maybe be open to the idea that you're living in one of those societies that needed to be broken before it could be made just. Maybe warm up to that idea. So when you hear, for example, about violence against police, about rioters and protesters, rather than thinking, is this the optimal way of them achieving their goals? Is this the right time? Is this the best way? I don't know. Is AOC doing the best job, agitating the... Rather than asking those questions, ask yourself, would you say the same thing about the random crowd shots of protesters across the country in some book where some equivalent scandal took place and people were losing faith in the government? Imagine that. Imagine you're watching, what's another example? Like the Hunger Games. I've never read the Hunger Games or watched it. You're reading the Hunger Games, okay? And the kids raping people, the evidence, the president, everyone's been raping kids. And then you see people protesting in the streets, like throwing bombs or whatever. Would you watch that? Would you think, I don't know if that's the right way to go about this. Civil discourse is and always has been the most reasonable, most effective way of dealing with the power of the well. Would you do that? You wouldn't do that. You would look at those rioting crowds. You'd be like, hell yeah. You'd be like, fuck yes. Speak truth to power. Throw those Molotov cocktails. Absolutely. I will rate this 9 on IMDb. That is what you would, that's what you would say. But you see it in real life, and then all of the little niggling bits of ideology you allow to corrupt your perception of the series of events laid before you sort of come into play, and you start to doubt and question, and through your doubting and through your questioning, more people do so, and the votes crawl in, and there's less support for the protesters, and people on the media feel comfortable asking questions like, is it really appropriate for us to be rioting in response to this? And slowly things fizzle out, and you are responsible yet again for snuffing out a flame. Even if you're not a leftist, even if you're not like me, you have to recognize that you live in a society that fosters inequality to an extent that it is not capable of being meaningfully changed from within this system. Things are not getting better. The plight of blacks here in America, for example, ain't gotten better in 70 years. If anything, it's gotten worse because of the drug war. Things aren't getting better for anybody. It's getting harder and harder to afford food and housing. It's getting harder and harder to find housing. Education's getting more expensive, but the minimum requirements for most entry-level jobs are getting higher and higher. Things are not getting better. And even if you're not a leftist, these are facts. Okay? I'm a facts guy. I like facts. Hate feelings. Love facts. Big fact guy, me. So, even if you're not a leftist, you should be able to look at these bits of evidence and think, I don't know exactly what comes next, but this has to stop. And you let go of the status quo. You open yourself up to new ideas. You open yourself up to change, to the capacity to understand that there might be better systems out there, better ways of dealing with this than endless capitulation to the people in power. Give it a shot. It's called, broadly speaking, class consciousness. The recognition that you, statistically speaking, you could be a millionaire, you're probably not, are a member of a class of people with similar interests. You, like me, struggle in many ways similar to one another, whether we're black, white, woman, man, trans, cis, gay, straight. We find solidarity in a shared set of concerns. The difficulty with which we live, economically speaking. The fact that we live in a society in which the wealthy essentially eschew the law. The fact that our government doesn't represent our interests. And you recognize that as a member of this class, we call it the proletariat, You have an interest, same as me, in challenging these systems of power from a certain lens. We call it critical theory. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it, okay? Not everyone has to be a fucking academic, all right? What you have to do is be aware of that process, and you have to be accepting of that process. Because if you're not, you are bending over backwards and presenting your right puckered asshole to everyone who has ever benefited from the complicity of people like you, who are incapable of change, incapable of opening yourself up to the idea that there might need to be different solutions proposed to this set of problems. Class consciousness. It is step number 1 to whatever comes next. And we can talk about what comes next when you're willing to participate in the conversation. But until you are nothing but an obstacle to us, and thus a bolster, a agent for the people who want to keep things the way they are. The billionaires, the politicians, the wealthy. Stop. Cut it out. Stop. Stop it. Stop. That's all I have to say. Vosh, how are we supposed to convince people who are getting by okay in the current system? The vast majority of people aren't and think they are. You have to show them that they're not. 99.9% of people who live in America right now could be living more fair, equitable, happy, and decent lives if the system were changed. The amount of people who genuinely benefit from the existence of this system are very, very small. Yo. I got something? Like packages? Ah, shit, yeah. I'll deal with it after stream. Oh, yeah, you can throw it in here. Is the package ticking?
No.
Okay.
Here it is.
Here. Yeah, just drop it. What is that? I ordered a bunch of stuff to improve the stream.
Enjoy.
Okay. Huh. Vosh clearly benefits? I really don't. I suppose I'll open this. Do I keep a knife in here? Weak tape. My floor is a disaster. I just moved. Hush up. Yes? I know. Ah. Microphone filter. And something. A gaming mouse pad. Nice. Microphone cable. There we go. Did we all enjoy my little revolutionary fervor there? Class consciousness really is the next step forward. Yeah, I got a new chair as well. I got a new chair. This chair is very nice. Helps me with my back. Where'd you get that, Gwendolyn? From Anime Expo. Yeah, this was an unboxing stream the entire time, comrades. I'm not doxing myself. Damn, that's a thick audio cable. Look at that fucking thing. Jesus. Why does Streamlabs OBS do this to me? wait. There we go. Could probably do to tilt this up a smidge, maybe. That's probably a little bit better. And for the zoom, that's better. There we go. All right. My cable management's triggering you? I actually did a pretty decent job with cable management back there. It's not that bad. Jesus. I tied up a bunch of stuff. Anyway, here's the big old audio cables. Set that right here. Anyway, that's really all I have to say in regards to the Epstein shit. One way or another, there's not very much to be done about it in the immediate sense. We're not going to get much satisfaction from this. What we can get, however, is a broader understanding of the extent to which we are incapable of finding justice within this system. I'll read donations in a moment. Anyway, I'm going to unpack this really quickly, and then I guess I'll talk with chat. Short stream today. Tomorrow is Hyena's birthday. She'll be streaming in my stead tomorrow. You all get to see some boobies. Boobers. There we go. What do you think about the people with Epstein brain or people who obsess over the Epstein shit? I mean, it's fair to obsess over it. He's like a billionaire who runs a pedophile ring for a whole bunch of really powerful people. I think it's totally fine to obsess over that to some extent. Show us your boobers. You're getting them. Whew, right here. Tits or ass? I'm an ass boy myself. I just got a cheap little mouse pad, I don't know. Feeling really hopeless about all this, like we're never going to make progress, just end up snuffed out. How can we spread class consciousness, wake more people up? Why do you think people aren't revolting every single time shit like this comes out? Read up on ideology. In every society throughout time, the ideology of the common man has been the ideology of the ruling class. There aren't revolts and revolutions and what have you because they don't want there to be revolts and revolutions. So they publish media that disincentivizes it. They give us little breadcrumbs to feast on rather than denying us the information that we need to the extent that we revolt. Say to Squirrel, you agree with me on plenty of shit. Shut up. But in terms of feeling less hopeless... here we go. This is an audio interface thing. How's the new apartment? It's not an apartment, it's a house. It's lovely. There we go. And there we go. The mic arrives tomorrow. As do the soundproofing. Anyway, as for avoiding hopelessness, I strongly encourage you to look up the concept of ideology. Also, in regards to what we can do now, do keep in mind that as bad as things may seem, there is a material interest in the proletariat to challenge the systems in the way that I have called for us to do so. What I'm saying here isn't really... well, it is revolutionary in the literal sense, but it's not revolutionary in that it's a new idea. Socialism is capitalism's dark shadow. Capitalism can't exist without socialism following it. Socialism is and always has been the most cogent critique of capitalism in human history, and it has followed capitalism like a shadow everywhere it goes. So we're not going to die out ever. The ideas of socialism, the abolition of private property and what have you, this isn't some drawing or some piece of art that can be lost to the ages, never to be rediscovered. This is a natural counter-response, a natural counterpoint to the tenets of capitalism. There's some sense of inevitability there. Totally agree with you, but what's the explanation for Madoff getting put away or Epstein going to jail in the first place? Because you can only get away with so much, and not every element of the system is corrupt to 100% of the time. All right. How the fuck are we doing? Poll thinks that the Capitalists are going to make false flag attack scandal disaster to extract from this. What are your thoughts? Yeah, why not? False flags are a good meme, huh? Vosh, my dude, please. We can all talk about how the system is unjust and inhumane all the time, but where are we going? By not having a direction, all we're doing is contributing to the complacency. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't say we're not going anywhere. Class consciousness is step number 1, comrade. You can't move forward without class consciousness. That's necessary. You can't fuck around without that. I don't want us to be doing revolutions without class consciousness. Are you kidding? Who knows what's going to happen after that? I don't want the wrong people leading things. After people have a collective socialized understanding of the extent to which they're being fucked over, then we can start taking more like right now. Like, imagine the civil rights movement, okay? The civil rights movement had a very pointed direction in terms of what it wanted to do and where it wanted to go. Imagine organizing the civil rights movement when, like, 98% of black people didn't even realize they were second-class citizens in America. It would be impossible. It would be undoable. No one could... It'd be, like, like MLK would be like, hey, guys, just so you all know, like, hey, we gotta rise the fuck up. Why do we gotta rise the fuck up? Like, what's wrong? Well, if you read this book, you have to people have to have an intrinsic understanding of the extent to which they're being fucked over before you can reasonably organize. Best way to turn a dem soak into a full tilt commie? Give them my fucking streams. Vosh, I think the reason we all love these stories of revolution so much is because we subconsciously know that the system is broken, rotten to the core. I completely agree, comrade. We've heard you speak about Bernie before saying he's hiding his power level. Do you think electing someone like Bernie will have any meaningful change, or perhaps a precursor to actual change? Possibly. Bernie could be a precursor to actual change, highlighting the problems in our society and the extent to which they run, or he could end up like fostering complacency by showing people that you can get socialism through voting. It's hard to know. Let me read some fucking donos, my duderinos. Donos, give me them donos. Amazing. All right. Sawdust John with the $1. I don't know why you had a picture of an alien up on screen. Our space comrades did nothing wrong to suggest otherwise. It's kind of xenophobic. Yeah, they were just keeping their eye on the fucking corrupt politicians, okay? Don't worry about it. Alan Hannigan with the $2. Tylenol. Yes. John Marsiglia with the incredibly generous $20.95 at 95 cents. Thank you very much, comrade. That's incredibly kind of you, and I really appreciate it. Hey, Voshman, hope you're doing well. Saw your drawing stream? I actually do want to be able to do drawing streams. That would be really, really fun. I would just need to have a cam set up in the right place. I'm always trying to doodle. Here, look, I doodled an OC. A lot of you guys have seen the drawings that I've done in the past. I only have so much time to draw, but I would actually love to do like more extensive drawing streams to like discuss technique. I have multiple graphic tablets. I'm just not as familiar with digital drawings. It's been a while since I've done that. Oh, I drew Garo. I think I showed this on Twitter. I drew Garo from One Punch Man. I thought that was pretty nice. IMO. What pens do you use? I just use Micron. Whatever the case is, do I take drawing commissions? No, I'm not good enough to take money for that. Zoe Mortal, you don't need the right-wing terrorists to join your cause. The right-wing terrorists aren't the majority of the population. You need to get the silent majority to get behind you. Don't despair, comrade. That's pretty unproductive. Burnham Red-Eye, there's no real way to single-handedly fight the rise of that sort of thing. Just do what you can, be community-oriented, convince the people that you can, and die knowing that you did your best. Society is bigger than any of us. We all do our best. That's about all we can do. All right, hold on. Let me go through donos. Are there any open source art programs you recommend? The only art program I use is Clip Studio Paint, which is not open source, so no. Louis Vendall with $1. Can you please explain how much of this is for certain, likely, possible, and conspiracy theory, etc.? Everything that I've said has mostly been theory-oriented. I don't think that I said anything conspiratorial. I think that the idea that there was a level of coercion implicit in Epstein's suicide, or at least deliberate negligence on the part of the jail, I think this is a pretty reasonable statement. Lol, did you play for Clip Studio? Yeah, I did. Fucking at me. Is Garo basically the embodiment of accelerationism? Absolutely, comrade. Read that lefty shit into OPM. Louis Fendall with the $1. That feel when Streamlabs automatically uses your full name in your donation. While I'm here, pissing in the sink is the only ethical way to piss. You save water and it's perfectly clean because you clean the sink when you wash your hands. You wash your hands after you pee? Corvus with the $5. Thank you, comrade. We will strangle the last capitalist with the intestines of the last politician in Minecraft, of course. Even in Minecraft, I'm against political violence, okay? I do no death runs, no kill runs in Minecraft. Heinrich with the tier 1 sub. Thank you, comrade. Hi, Vosh. I go to uni in one of the most Nazified cities in Germany. Big yikes, but you're giving me hope. Love you, by the way. Do you think that there should be more leftists starting to learn martial arts to fight in the streets, e.g. against fascists? I don't know how much martial arts actually would help in like a revolutionary scenario. I think all leftists should own guns. Not for any political violence reasons, of course. Peer-to-peer with the $1. He also had multiple fake passports that listed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia, and one of his clients was the middleman of the Iran-Contra affair. I'm shit. Fucking Epstein had hands everywhere, okay? I'm probably one of Epstein's clients. Let's be real. Your mom is probably one of Epstein's clients. God, I wish he wasn't dead. Hold on. Peer-to-peer with $4. Thank you, comrade. Epstein was CIA when Acosta gave him the sweetheart deal of the century, the one that let all the unnamed conspirators off the hook and sealed all documents related to the investigation. His official reasoning was that Epstein belonged to intelligence. That can mean a lot of things. I mean, I don't know for sure, but hell yeah. I need to read more on that before I felt comfortable pumping that in the minds of the people who are watching. And I think heart-shaped kisses with the $2. Nazi in chat spewing race and IQ stuff. Tell him off. What, in YouTube chat? YouTube chat's always full of Nazis. Is it that John guy? He likes following me. I don't know. There are always Nazis in my chat. And Wee King with the 96 with the $5. Thank you, comrade. What are some effective critiques of capitalism that most average Americans could easily get behind? Easy. Medical coverage is shit, and if you want any at all, you have to be tied to your job, which is fucking wild. I have a fucking mustache hair that keeps climbing up into my nose. Jesus Christ. Fucking never grow a beard, kids. Anyway, the fact that American worker productivity is rising tremendously, but and our per capita income is not increasing to compensate the increasing wealth inequality. There are tons of like really easy, solid points to hit on, you know? Like you don't need to go into the fancy pants shit. Quite Scottish with the $5. Thanks, comrade. When are you going to do a viewer call-in stream? I didn't get to talk to you at AX and keep pushing it back. Quite Scottish. I will be doing it sometime within the upcoming week, I think. And Addy with a $10. Thank you. What is your opinion on people calling obviously extremely political settings like Warhammer 40,000 apolitical and growing angry when it gets politicized? I mean, mostly I just call those people like dumb fucks, and then I make fun of them for an hour because those people are like superhumanly stupid. It's fucking wild. Warhammer 40K not being political. I have heard that shit before though, so who knows? A non-authority with the $5. I'm going to send you donos containing Genesis sometime soon. I expect you to read them to bring light of the loud to chat. Hey, listen, I love proselytizing, okay? I adore it. It's basically what I do here on stream. Give me that shit. Give me the word of God to bring to these degenerate heathens. And Hyena with the $5. Can we play Skullgirls or something on stream tomorrow together? For a bit, I'll do most of it on my own. Also, great stream today. I'm proud. Ooh. The stream's like an hour long so far. You can't tell me it's been a great stream yet. Hey, Hypers in chat, if you would watch Hyena and I play Skullgirls together tomorrow on stream. For those of you who don't know, Skullgirls is a really, really awesome looking 2D fighting game with big boobies. There are some big boobies Big Booby. I hate this new Google fucking layout. I only play Cerebella. Look at these honkers. Look at that shit right there. That'd be some fun shit, wouldn't it? Big boobies. Skullgirls boobies. Can I get like a booby comp? There we go. This is what the game is like, okay? Just some massive fucking honkers. Big fucking yoinkers. Show double my wife. You show chat double, okay? Tomorrow you can show chat double. All right. Fuck it. Let's just talk with chat for a little while, huh? I only wanted to stream for a bit today because I have a lot of work to do when it comes to video prep. My YouTube channel's been growing really slowly lately because I've not been doing a good job maintaining it, which is on me. Heedlemob with the €2. Yay for Skullgirls. Maybe I'll learn how to get good. Not from us. Hyena's a complete amateur and I only play Cerebella, okay? Not from us. How do you live your life in America without going insane? I was born to an upper middle class family. That's how. Why no dicks in Skullgirls? I mean, there are 2 dudes in Skullgirls, but fuck them. That's a booby game, okay? We got dick games elsewise. Oh, I just got 2 new $10 patrons. Speaking of huge boobies, oh shit.
I got this new anime plot.
Hold on. Where are my fucking earbuds? I need to get a new headset. I'll hire an editor soon. Jesus Christ. Why not dick and boobies? Because Skullgirls isn't that cool.
Basically, there's this high school girl, except she's got huge boobs. I mean, some serious hunkers. A real setup of donkers. Packing some Doban hunkeros. Massive da hunka bankaloos. Big old Tanhangera cougars. What happens next? Transfer student shows up one day with even bigger bunk hanaga hoogs. Humongous hungalamga no no logangas.
Sounds like a good anime. Darcism with the $5. Love your content since I found you last month. Learned to subscribe on Patreon for you. Take my poor uni student stipend, comrade. Darcism, I love you. Thank you so much for the support, comrade. That's awfully generous of you. And I'm delighted to have had your attention and appreciation. And affection. And love. Oh, man. Fuck, now I'm hyped for Skullgirls. That shit sounds sick as fuck. How do I feel about the Kyoto Protocol with political theory accurately represents the U.S. association with its implications? I'm terribly sorry, Derry Cypher. I have no idea what that is and what it means. Will this require me to read? Because I really, really hate reading. We expect to stream exploring past actions of political violence on a grand scale. Well, I would, except I'm very anti-political violence, so I wouldn't want to glorify any of that shit, would I? Man, it is so nice having an actual studio. Once I get a nice new microphone, because this microphone is currently the oldest piece of equipment that I have. It was the very first thing that I got. But once I have a new microphone and I get sound dampeners on the back walls over there, it's going to be, whew, that's going to be good. My audio is going to sound crisp and clean. When are you doing the second Dem debate recap? I'll do it soon, and I'll probably be doing it either on D Live or on Mixer. Probably on Mixer because it's easier to host through Mixer. White Nervosa told me. I don't know. I can't verify that, but I trust White Nervosa. White Nervosa did build my website, basically pro bono, and then I paid her for it anyway. Am I going to have a Marxism stream? Every one of my streams is a Marxism stream, you stupid piece of shit. Vosh, I agree with you on gender abolition. I have major gender dysphoria with the fact that I'm assigned as a man, but I see myself as non-binary and genderless. I express myself as femme and masc. Most people don't recognize that, and therefore I'm referred to as he, him pronouns. Kriz Shabo Show sounds like gender is a fuck. 26,834,274,141 dead child pageant shows. Am I right? When will you tackle the anti-IDPOL nerds? I feel like I tackle the anti-IDPOL nerds every time I screech trans rights and argue against TERF nonsense, but alright. No problem, Namiduran. Am I going to do a Maoism stream at some point? Yeah, probably. I need to do like a big research stream on all the different lefty ideologies, you know? Do I have an opinion on Kosovo? Yeah, it's delicious. Well, you are pro-history, aren't you? We defend ourselves from political violence under the umbrella of know your enemy. Wait, Zoe Mortal, I don't get it. I don't get the joke. Are you actually a Nazi, or are you just... Okay, you're not actually a Nazi. I see. I recognize your name. I don't know. Thoughts on Dem Soaks running for elected office? Yes, use whatever system you have in front of you. Interest in seeking debate. Can I say a thing about terrorism in the Collins chat on Discord? Nah, I don't feel like talking to any folks. Yang Buck's research stream? I've researched Yang before. I have all the opinions I'm going to have on Yang. Is one YNG a fascist? Let's just say yes. Am I still blocked by Thought Slime on Twitter? Let's find out. Probably. Yup. Whatever. He's a cunt. Do an ML planned economy stream? Amazing. Hey Vosh, thank you for saying this to prepare to serve the family union. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, hold on. I hate the family unit. At no point have I said that we should preserve the family unit when we establish anarchy. Do not worry. I hate the family unit. Sorry, I3 Lil BB, trust me, I'm very anti-family unit. You have misheard. Amazing. Nazis telling you to debate Nazis in YouTube chat. Holy fuck, there are so many of them. Let's check out YouTube chat. Let's see what YouTube chat is up to. Hold on. Oh, damn, people are giving me donos. I love it when people give me donos. Okay, let's see. All right. There is no other left ideology other than Marxism-Leninism. Other ones are just stupid, irrational revisionism. Man, I love tankies. That's some good-ass shit right there. Fucking bunch of commie losers. Who will beat Trump 2020? No one. Losers. Good. Excellent. And Kapistan will prosper. Will Ancom be stricken with famine and strife? Oh, now they're... Hey, what's up, guys? Can you all stop with your dumb fucking takes in here? I know that you guys are stupid because you're the people who don't know how to access my fucking website. If you hate the family unit, it's probably because you hate your family. Don't worry, I would hate any family that produced you as well. It's funny because statistically speaking, my family is actually happier and more stable than yours. I have two crispy clean white parents still in marriage together after 30 years, living together in a house, raised me and my brother incredibly lovingly, gave us the support we needed, but didn't helicopter parent us, sent us out into the world. My brother, at his young, tender age of 20, is now like a chef at a restaurant and well respected amongst his peers. And I stream and do well in politics. So, I mean, if we're talking about the success of family... Oh, both my parents, professionals, well-paying jobs, well-respected in their communities. So if we're talking about family success, I don't know. If you want to step on the fuck on up with yours, we can, like, my dad will beat up your dad. Stupid shit. It's so dumb to brag about parents, but I'm very fortunate. I had very, very nice families. On what foundation is the present family the bourgeois family based? I need to talk about that more in the future. Wait, why does Vosh hate families, children, etc.? When did I say I hated children? Wait, hold on. We gotta interact with YouTube chat. Okay. So why does Vosh hate family, children, etc.? I'm confused. Genuinely surprised by this take. I thought he was pretty pro-family, pro-children, pro-human. Okay, hold on. We're in for some shit now. This is a YouTube chat stream now, boys. Is there no way to expand the right side? Is this for real? Is this for realsies? Okay, whatever. Okay, I'm not anti-children, and I'm not anti-families. I'm anti-family unit. I'm anti-nuclear family. I want there to be different types of families that are supported in different ways for the sake of children. When is the alt-hype response happening? Still doing research. Karl Marx is literally a Jew. 3 dots, open a new window. Oh yeah, pop-out chat. Nice meme. Nice meme. Yeah, there we go. Beta. Unable to show or prove in any way you know Karl Marx was a Jew. Talk about in-case hentai? In-case isn't hentai, you fucking pleb. Okay. I have no idea what the fuck they're on about, but I'm good. Let's focus on donos, okay? Can we just do that? Can we just focus on donos? Going through a pretty shit childhood, falling, becoming a word to say, a lot of fears happen in the cycle. Family is much more than blood. It's the loving people you surround yourself with, raised by a village and all that. We used to raise everyone by a village. That used to be the standard way by which children were raised. Now we force 2 humans who both have to juggle jobs to do it. Non-authority with the $2. 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Thank you for your contributions, non-authority. Midardo Garcia with the $5. Have you ever thought about how artificial intelligence will affect the economy? Boy, I'm not a fucking nerd. I leave that shit to the nerd brains who like talking about nerd shit. I'm a fucking Chad fucking sociologist socialist, okay? I'm here to talk about penises, cum, piss, and shit. Jacob Bussier with the incredibly generous $20. Thank you. I really appreciate this. So what system should we implement in order to prevent this? We can talk about revolution all we want, but what comes after? Also look up Elinor Ostrom's polycentric governance and how tragedy of the commons is a lie. That was a long... Elinor Ostrom's polycentric... I mean, I can research this later. I don't know if Elinor Ostrom's polycentric governance is going to single-handedly demolish the concept of the tragedy of the commons, but... in terms of implementing systems, I focus on the class consciousness part. If you want to talk about what kind of systems could be meaningfully enacted to ensure a successful revolution or to sort of cement society in an ethical direction after a revolution takes place, that's a much more complicated subject that I do have some understanding of, but I would like to save that for an entire stream because that is very complicated and I would like to sort of suss out my thoughts a little bit more. But generally speaking, I am very much in favor for limited collaboration between the revolutionary elements of a unified proletarian class and some elements of the government to sort of foster and secure a transition of power which might lead to some broad reforms that could secure socialism, abolition of private ownership of capital, so on and so forth. But it's super fucking complicated. And frankly, I don't know how relevant it is because we're still a very long ways away from true class consciousness in this country. And by the time we achieve that class consciousness, who knows how different society is going to be? There's no guarantee that any of the plans we've made prior to that point are still going to be relevant in the future that we live in. Are you done with your education, or are you going to continue for a master's/doctorate? I just have a BA. Honestly, fuck school. Why would I go to school right now when I'm doing infinitely more for the world? Not to sound conceited, doing infinitely more for the world, like talking into my computer and like changing people's minds than I ever could by furthering my education. Also, American education is trash. If I want to learn more, I have access to a wide number of like professionals in my community who can help me understand difficult concepts. I'm convinced that I can get. I don't believe in this like there's some intrinsic divine truth behind academically fostered or like institutionally fostered academia that trumps any kind of other education. Yeah. But school still helps. Go to school, kids. All right, Moker 420 with the $5. Mosque shooting in Oslo. No idea if you've heard. All this is probably going to get worse. Yes, absolutely. Norway mosque shooting. How many people died this time? Norway mosque shooting. Man opens fire on Al Noor Islamic Center. Gun. Later, a woman was found dead at the house of the suspect. Okay, so he shot a woman before heading to the mosque. Victim was a 75-year-old member of the congregation. Suspicious death. That's probably the man arrested earlier today. Shotgun weapons and a pistol. The mosque had previously implemented extra security measures after the Christchurch shooting. Nice. 2 people wounded. Okay. All right. Oh, 1 person wounded. Wait, why did it say 2 people wounded when I... 2 people wounded in mosque shooting. 1 person wounded in mosque shooting. All right, looks like not too bad. Thanks, Moker 420. Lunatic Thinker with the $2 Canadian. Heart your channel. Do you read VN, you big weeb? Trans rights. Trans rights? What's VN? Oh, wait, I might read VN. What's VN? Why couldn't you just type out the full thing? Just visual novels, like generically? I actually made part of a visual novel once. For a story. You know how I'm called Vosh? Vosh is the anglicized version of the name Vakanida, which is the name of a character that I made for a story I wanted to write. And like as a comic. And the comic that I wanted to do had I wanted to do a visual novel behind it. And I actually got a little ways the way into it. I did some of the art assets and I wrote a lot of the code and stuff, but I have trouble. ADHD, I have trouble finishing projects. Could I find... Is it... If I just Google Vakanida, shouldn't I be able to find something? Well, if I Google Vakanida... If I Google Vakanida, then my art comes up. That's nice. But I don't think I have any recent art. Oh, that's porn. I don't think I have any recent art. Huh. I'll have to redraw her sometime. Okay. Ion Windsor with $1. You say you love when people donate, so I donated. I do love being able to pay rent. Thank you, Ion Windsor. Much appreciated, comrade. And Creative Nothing with the $5. Thank you. Hate to bring up my dude for the 100th time, but Stirner was one of the pioneers of gender abolitionism. Yes. I know I need to read more about Stirner. I promise. I plan on doing that. Jesus Christ. It will happen. I promise. And then a bunch of people donated all at once. You fucking degenerates. Oh no. RM Brown with the $2. Isn't Medicare for all a good first step for change? Yeah. Yeah, I think that, generally speaking, the less weighed down by mundanity a person is, the less cowed and fearful they are, the more energy and time they have to dedicate to higher studies. So having people not live in constant fear of dying of cancer or of sickness that they can't really do anything with or afford to get treatments for, rising above that would probably help people towards class consciousness. Not dying is good. I agree. Get through these. Posada Sean with the $1. Vosh, is reformation impossible or just super unlikely? I mean, I 100% support a revolution, but if change happens from votes, I wouldn't be mad. I don't believe that reformism is going to bring us the solutions that we want, that we need. But I do believe that it is effective in harm reduction and propagation of class consciousness until the revolution comes. What's your take on democratic education? I would need to know what you mean exactly by that. But I do I like democracy and I like education. Katrina K with the $5. Is your debate with Thought Slime available online? I really wanted to watch it. Katrina K, I'm afraid there never was a debate with Thought Slime. What there was is Thought Slime was a cunt on Twitter, and then I was a cunt on Twitter, and then I rambled about it on stream for 4 hours and made a bit of an ass of myself. But there was no debate with Thought Slime. Favorite non-political YouTuber? Probably Joseph Anderson, or maybe Errant Signal. I really, really like video game review channels from auteurs. Please make a Chatterbait channel so we can see your drawn porn. Here, I'll give you guys one drawn porn, okay? Hold on. I mean, I can't show you on screen, obviously. But I can give you a link to it in chat. That's legal. It shouldn't be Monka TOS. Oh wait, first of all, hold on. This was a good-ass meme. For JoJo fans. Here. I'm pretty proud of that one. I can show that on stream, actually. What am I doing? It's me. It's JoJo. Okay. So get fucked, Pig Puncher. Bet you gotta learn how to draw. That's how they get the fucking donos. They love seeing the artists. All right, here we go. This is the last porn I drew. Godspeed, you fucking degens. All right, let's finish up with these donos. Perjo, the Finnish leftist with the 420. Do you see global markets, global democratic state as something usable? If we would only allow worker-owned cooperative enterprises, North European-style welfare system with strong green tax, highly progressive taxation without any tax loopholes. I mean, I'm totally fine with global markets used democratically if they're worker co-ops with strong taxes. Like what you basically described was the most the most progressive possible invocation of a global corporation. And in that instance, I would be fine with it. I'm a syndicalist. I am fine. I am totally 100% fine with markets. I am fine with companies. I have no problems with these things intrinsically. I have a problem with them when they're privately owned. And I have a problem with them when they don't work closely in line with a strict set of regulations that organize their behavior. That doesn't sound like particularly radical talk right there, but the abolition of private ownership of capital is not something that can be achieved through reform, I assure you. And then once we have that, we can make moves towards a more radical state. Aerith with the $2. What candidate you think will help trans people the most? Bernie is trans. Bernie is a trans man. And Caius with the tier 1 sub. Thank you, comrade. That's awfully generous of you. Gib more girl deck. My motherfucking Discord is full of girl deck. Have fun. D King with the $5. Vosh, when will you be talking to Pulinkash or Finbull? Or are you going to chicken out from talking to people with more political understanding than white people good? Damn. I don't like talking to leftists because I don't like circle jerks. I find sectarianism amongst leftists, the anarchist ML divide, really fucking stupid. We're nowhere near a successful revolution. Why waste time making fights with other people who agree with us when we haven't even achieved class consciousness? I'll have a conversation, but I have literally no interest in having a debate with them. Not because I feel like I'd win or lose or because I have a point to prove, but just because I don't care. I think it's actively antithetical to my material interest to do so. And Arcane Phoenix with the $5. Hey Vosh, please do a segment about Kashmir in more detail. I can help you with non-English news sources if you want. Beyond that, keep up the good work. I love you, Conrad. Yes, I kept meaning to do the Kashmir shit, but then I meant to do it today, but then Epstein fucking died. And that is more immediately relevant, at least to my audience, though probably not more impactful. The Kashmir shit's pretty fucked. And then Wolfgar donated 4 tier 1 subs for some reason. Wolfgar, thank you so much for donating subs to Zanzi, Seda Scroll, Ufaldir, and Track72. That is incredibly generous of you. You are, in fact, truly the greatest fan. No one lives up to you. And I think that it's... We've reached this time. Open up your DMs, okay? I'm going to be giving you a packet of information soon. It's time for the transfer. All right. Arcane Phoenix with the 5... Oh, wait, I just did that one. Gabriel Anderson with the 5 unknown currency. Collins, if not, here's a 5er regardless. No Collins today, comrade, though I plan on doing them within the week. Don't you worry. Y'all are being incredibly generous, and I feel like I'm not doing shit to earn it, but I'm not going to complain, except I am kind of complaining. Bobby3 with the $1. Redefining racism as prejudice, power, good or bad rhetoric praxis. Here's a hot fucking take for you guys. Redefining racism and sexism as prejudice plus power is bad. It's bad praxis. Just say racism and institutional racism, okay? If a black person does some prejudice-y shit to a white guy, like, hey, fucking white boy, that's racism. Call it racism. Give up this fight. Just stop it. Just stop it. Give up the fight. When you look at like a white person being like, fuck you, darky, and a black person's like, fuck you, whitey, and you point at that and you go, only one of these things is racism, even though you with your big lefty brain and me with my big lefty brain understand the reasons why you're making that argument, it's going to sound like absolute fucking like insanity to most people. Just give it up. Just stop. Okay. They're both racism. Just say one is institutional racism. Okay. So when a black person's like, fuck you, whitey, that's racism. When the justice system prediscriminately like sentences black people to longer sentences for the same crime with the same number of priors, that's institutional racism. That's the difference. Okay. Just give up that fight, okay? We have to stop. That was like an SJW, like fucking truism. That was a little bit of language that seeped into common parlance from sociological terminology that should not be there. Just put it back. Do you think only trans people should be armed? Well, I mean, technically owning a gun increases the likelihood of suicide, so maybe not. I don't know. Is some sectarianism necessary? For example, Mia Trott not accepting MLs. If you're going to engage in sectarianism, it should be for a pretty fucking good reason. I think that like full-on tanky, like third worldists should probably be excluded, and like fucking crazy shitlib lefties who only care about purity testing should probably be excluded. But like beyond that, not all MLs are tanky. No, not all MLs are tankies. Definitely not. There are plenty of legit MLs. Anyway, just give up the fucking racism, sexism thing. Just hypothetically, what would you do if Soviet Maine came back to challenge you right now? I got an email from Soviet Maine. I didn't read it actually. What are we on about? Oh my god. Wolfgar. Thank you so much for donating Burnham Redeye a tier 4 sub. What the fuck, my duder? Jesus Christ. What the fuck? This stream is not worthy of this level of monetary support, but I really do fucking appreciate it. Jesus Christ, Wolfgar. I really appreciate it. Okay. I'm not going to read that Soviet main email out loud. All right. Wolfgar, thank you so much. Vosh, someone named Trans Rights invaded me while I was streaming Dark Souls. They lag stabbed me to death. You got lag stabbed in Dark Souls by someone called Trans Rights? Fuck trans people. You heard it here first. All right. Chris Sabo Show was also donated a fucking sub by Wolfgar, who's fucking wildin' right now. Just another muffin with the $2. Please yell at me and tell me to get back to work on my board game. Just another muffin. Get the fuck back to work, okay? You are not going to remember this individual stream. You will remember forever the thing you created. Get back to work. You're going to die one day. I think they got the message across. Ander 23. Posadis John, thank you so much for the gifted tier 1 sub to Andrew 23. You're right, ass is better than tits. I know I'm right. I'm always right on that take. That's an easy take. Jesus Christ, Wolfgar. And Gabriel Anderson with the 2 unknown currencies. Lol, they're pounds, UK currency. Write that down. No, the shit literally for my for the website UI right now, it literally just shows a question mark for pounds. Why Nervosa will get on that soon, I'm sure. Damn. Big Puncher, good luck sliding into ContraPoints DMs. She unfollowed me. Vosh, what's the left's biggest problem? Poor organizing, poor coalition building, for the most part. Damn, dude, how the time flies. What the fuck? 40. Like 80. 100. Posadis John, thanks for donating to Vaporwave, a tier 1 sub. Fucking no! Calm yourself, guys! What the fuck? Spectre with the tier 1 sub, thank you, comrade. Hey, Vaush, love your stuff. Thanks for empowering me with facts and logic to destroy fashy feels. Fashies really are full of feels, aren't they? It's pretty fucking wild. We're getting some sub spamming. What the fuck? I was planning for a short stream. I have to do a short stream. Why did Contra unfollow you? After the Thought Slime drama. Jesus Christ. Just to let it be known, by the way, because I see some people say this from time to time. Wolfgar, thank you so much for giving Goat a tier 1 sub. That's incredibly kind of you, as are many of the other things you've been doing today. I see this from time to time. People will be like, hey Vosh, I love your work. I'm really sorry I can't donate to you. Never apologize about that to me, comrades. Seriously, don't ever worry about it. It's totally fine. I get it. You've got your own shit going on. You don't need to worry about me. Just being kind, hopping up in chat, dabbing on fools. That's all you need to do, okay? The financial support is very much appreciated, but don't feel obligated to jump on in. What's the take on X-ray shots in hentai? Listen, X-ray shots can be fine in hentai as long as they like do a decent job of establishing physicality. Okay, hold on. That's what the rest of this stream is going to be, okay? I'm going to have to do this very euphemistically. Okay? Everyone shut the fuck up. This is what we're talking about now. Okay. Which is what I would be doing if I didn't see a good take in chat. Finnish Germania says, how is Vosh against tribalism? He literally accepted it 3 minutes ago when he said blacks are right when they say fuck you, whitey. How is that not tribalism? Finnish Germania. When the fuck did I say black people are right when they say fuck whitey? Unironic. Oh wait, this is actually incredible to me. Finnish Germania, you're watching the stream. When did I say that? Can you, like, how did you derive that from what I said? I never said, not only did I never say that, I never said anything that could be interpreted like that. I have literally no idea where you got that. I see your avatar is a Pepe wearing some sort of military outfit. Excellent. Fantastic. I don't understand. This is like every Nazi, dude. Every single time. They're so far gone. When will you meet up and make up with Thought Slime and finally kith on the mouth? It's probably not happening, comrade. Terribly sorry. Vosh, you said it's different, i.e. it's institutional, and it's justified. What? Institutional doesn't mean it's justified. What the fuck do you mean? Here, actually, I'm going to explain to you, okay? I'm going to treat you. Okay, here, hold on. You're right. This is my bad for not explaining it as I would to a 2-year-old. Okay, so when a black person and a white person both say, fuck you, whitey, fuck you, darky, to one another, respectively, both are racism. They're both racist, and both of them are wrong, because racism is bad, my friend. However, one of them, the white person doing it, is institutional racism because they're reaffirming forms of racism that are made manifest through social structures. So that form has worse consequences because there are more ways in which saying, fuck you, darky, and having that sort of mentality can negatively affect the lives of dark people than vice versa. So neither are good. One is worse than the other, not through intent, but rather through outcome. Okay. There we go. There we go. I think if you go a decent while without making an ass of yourself, I think maybe y'all can make up. What? No, fuck that. I don't want to make up with him. Yeah. That's Wikipedia. Educational ideal democracy is a goal and a method of instruction. Democratic values emancipatory the students' voices. I3 little BB. I would need to do way more research on that. Got it. My Pepe is wearing an SA uniform, by the way. Pee pee poo poo. Pee pee poo poo. Finished, Germania. I'm glad we could arrive at this synthesis. Praxis pee pee. No wait. It's thesis pee pee. Antithesis poo poo. And the synthesis is pee pee poo poo. Okay? Pee pee poo poo. All right. Listen the fuck up. What about coalition building with Thought Slime? Aren't you being sectarian? Are you just memeing? Well, it's not sectarian of me to not like individual people. When I say be anti-sectarian, I mean open your broad base to try and extend to many people as possible, not you have to get along with every single person you don't like. Also, I think I could make a decent argument for Thought Slime being emblematic of some of the more shit-libby elements of the left. Hold on. Listen up. All right. It's time for us to talk about hentai. Okay? Okay. Listen the fuck up. All right? It's time for us to talk about porn. All right. Now I'm doing this with a mouse, so there is no way for me to draw at a level that like makes this look good. Okay. I want to show you something. I'm going to try and find something really quick here. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to think of a good porn comic to demonstrate what I'm trying to think of. Let me think. Hold on. Dare I do it? Okay, hold on. I'm literally just going to go on a porn site right now. E-hentai doesn't match any documents. What the fuck are you talking about? I have safe search on, of course, naturally. Which I should probably keep on for this account. Yay. Alright, hold the fuck on. You're on YouTube? I should be good here. Damn, it still shows. Hold on. Okay. There we go. All right, hold the fuck on. Alright, I'm going to try and demonstrate a principle here. I think I can do this without too much trouble. I'm just going to find the first things I see. I'm trying to demonstrate a point. Just give me a second. I'm pulling like a yikesy card here. I have to do... No, 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 no. Can't do that. Nope, 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 nope. Damn, what's the name of that? Why is this being hard? Just give me a fucking second, you stupid piece of shit. Okay. Searching, searching. Can I please find a porn comic that has a single fucking page that isn't like 100% just degenerate fucking so I can... They're popping off outside. Fuck. I'm not going to be able to find what I want here, am I? Don't risk TOS? No, I'm trying to play it like super safe here. Nope, that ain't it. What's going on outside? Just have fucking neighbors, dude. Do you not have neighbors? You're gonna hear gunshot? Why would you hear gunshots because my neighbors are talking outside? What the fuck are you talking about? Alright, I am not going to find what I want here. They sound angry? No, they don't. They're laughing. They're just loud. It's 3 p.m. It's just outside. I have the window open. What are you fucking shut-ins doing with your life? Alright, forget this. I needed to have, like, materials prepped on hand. The porn artists I follow are too horny. There's nothing that I can find here. Yeet. Alright, we're going back to doodling again. Okay, listen. Okay. Follow through with me now. Okay, listen. Here's the problem. There are a lot of porn artists who look like they got their start to porn drawing like superhero comics, okay? So all the people are like super rigid looking and super fucking muscular, and they draw basically like how I draw people, which is one of the reasons why I struggle with drawing porn, because I grew up in a lot of superhero comics. And there's the little head. Okay. All right, and this is hot. Okay, there are a lot of porn artists out there who draw shit like this. Fuck me, can I find nothing of this? I'm trying to think of a particular porn comic that I think illustrates the example that I want to give. I'm trying to think. It's called like Cup of Tea or Mug of Tea or Hot Coffee or something like that. It's called something like that. And there's a girl with a big floppy doggo in it. But I think that what is it called? Hot something. What is it called? There are multiple issues of this comic. Yeah, I know some of you know the comic. Just a hentai or a normie comic? Hyena is suffering from her period. What is it called? Who's the buff dude? I don't know. I just drew a buff dude. Okay, shut up. Is this not it? No, that's not it. Opinions on furry artists? I jerk off to it. What is it called? Damn it, I want to make a point here before I get off stream. This is important to me. I can do this. I can do this. Cup O Love. Is it called Cup O Love? My N-words. Amazing. Yeah, give me a damn second. Damn, it's been so long since I've seen this. No, this isn't going to work either. Here, we'll use I roved out in search of truth and love, okay? That's some good shit. No, dude, we can't use that. I'm gonna kill myself. I have such a rigidly defined example of what it is I mean exactly in my head. I'm just going to be looking up the first page of this fucking website until I find what it is I'm looking for, okay? Okay, okay. I think I found a panel that I can use. Hold on. Okay. We can use this. That's the good example. Stop, this is dumb. Nope. My goddamn stream. If over 1,000 people want to sit here and watch a blank screen while I look at porn on another tab, that's their goddamn right. Now give me a fucking second. Now I need to find an example of the bad. This is everyone's punishment for giving me too many subs today. I'm getting complacent. No, this ain't it. Nope. Nope. Damn, that's a large penis that I'm looking at right now. Nope. Not authority. You could do that, but I'd rather you didn't. Fuck me, why is this proving so difficult? I normally see comics like this all the time. At least link us what you're looking at. I'm like literally just scrolling through the front page of a porn comic website, okay? Because I'm trying to find... Will this do? Okay, I think I found an artist who's bad. Now I need to find a non-fucking TOS panel. Okay. Alright. I think I've done what I can here. Okay, listen. I'm ready. It's time. At long last, I have found the concepts that I need to illustrate. Alright. I think we're good here. This is so fucking stupid. Alright. Look the fuck up. Okay, here's what I'm trying to get at. Alright? I want to talk about tactility. Alright? This is so fucking important to good porn. Okay? And so many people have no idea what the fuck is being discussed when tactility comes up. Alright? Look at this. Okay? I'm mildly censoring this content here. It's on screen. Now it's super on screen, okay? Look at this right here, okay? No TOS. We're good. We're all good here, okay? So, I want to talk about this art, okay? Yeah, we all know the artist. Yeah. Big honkers. Okay, listen. Let's talk about the art, okay? Now, it's cute art, obviously. We know what we're talking about here. Cute girl, whatever. Big poofy hair, whatever. All right, it's good. But what I'm trying to focus on here is the tactility of flesh that we can see going on here. The artist has put a ton of effort into making the skin, and there are only so many, like, non-porn panels that I can get at here, okay? Look at the way right here that the skirt hugs the hips and the ass and the stomach. Look at like the curve here. Look at the shading on the underside of the breasts and on the arms, the little glint of light on the shoulder. There's this really strong painterly vibe that gives a strong impression towards the tactility of the flesh, okay? You can see this here on the big face panel. A lot of effort was put into making the face look warm. The lips look really supple. And you can even see like the different shadings used in the upper side of the chest. Look at the way the giant fucking boober sweater hangs. Look at this. Look at this big saggy boober sweater right here. Look at all the shit it's doing, okay? All right, do you see this shit? Why is this important, okay? The reason I know about Fout Sketcher, trust me, I know all the porn artists. Whoever you're going to recommend me, I already know all of them, okay? Look at this shit right here, okay? Okay, you've even got like the little dip right here to indicate that like the sweater is tight enough that it's digging into the cleavage. Vosh changed the title. Y'all suck. This is important, okay? There. Alright. Listen the fuck up. Alright? And then over here, look at how the fucking ass right here gets hugged by the skirt and the panty line is just barely visible through it. Look at like the lips. This is what I mean by tactility of flesh, okay? It's not just that she's hot, and she is very hot, and it's not just that she has big boobies. It's that it's totally possible to draw everything you're looking at right here, the same body type, the same clothing, the same expressions, without putting anywhere near as much effort into indicating how supple the skin is, how nice it would be to feel. Don't her big honkers look like to be like a fuck ton of fun just to play around with? Let me contrast that with this other panel, okay? I've noticed this a lot. These porn comics that are like really bad tend to come from people who look like they studied with like American superhero comics, okay? This is what I mean, because it looks like an American superhero comic, okay? So this is also a porn comic. This is like immediately before and after. There's like a big ass and boobies and dicks and stuff. But look at the way this is drawn. Okay? This is from a porn comic. Look at how this is drawn here, okay? I couldn't find very much on this because this is some bad shit, but this is an example of what I'm talking about. So these are some stiff fucking boobies right here. These are some fucking iron-plated milkers. And the way the shading is done, it's like done to emphasize musculature. It's like this shit. Like if I had to draw a silhouette or something that was like all tight-fitting, all like tight-fitting clothing, but not at all sexy, I would look at what's that clown's name? That clown fucking comic artist from the 1980s who everyone made fun of, who everyone currently still makes fun of. What the fuck is their name? Come on, guys. Layfield, yeah. Okay. Rob Layfield draws big boober ladies, and he draws them in very scant clothing, but the way he draws them is so unbelievably fucking unappealing. Not just because he's a terrible fucking comic artist, okay? And he is a terrible fucking comic artist, but also because the way in which he's inclined to draw these characters does not take into account, like, any sort of refined eroticism. Whereas if you look at more comparatively subtle stuff from like hold on, let's go to Butt Smithy. Butt Smithy is a webcomic. Here, this is Butt Smithy is maybe like the single best currently running online webcomic, porn webcomic, okay? Here's a non-pornographic panel, okay? This is like half split between story and porn, even though this is a completely non-pornographic panel. The way in which everyone is shaded and depicted, there's so much more effort put into making these characters look nice and cute, like they'd be fun to play with, you know? Here, let me see how far back I can go without incurring pornography. Yeah? You know we can see the whole comic on your other panel, right? Yeah? Okay, just careful, man. You're showing a lot. Like, look at this shit right here. Look at this lady. She's got, like, honkers. She's got a nice face. I think the main difference that you can see here between, like, good shit like that and really bad shit, that I closed the really bad shit? Really bad shit like this is that the good porn artists, A, put a ton of effort into making their characters look soft. Even the muscly dudes. Muscles have to look nice and supple. Yeah, in case isn't as good as with dudes, not even close. Characters have to look soft. There shouldn't be hard edges or lines. And effort should be put into making flesh look like warm. You know what I mean? There should be warmth and suppleness in the way that the skin is sort of rendered, either through line work or through the coloring. That's super fucking important. I don't know. Why did I get off on this topic? Can I just end the stream? I would draw what I mean. Like, I don't know. What's the difference between a silhouette right here? Like, here's a... I can't draw with a mouse, guys. Honkers. I don't fucking know. The secret is you have to make the milkers really big, okay? They have to be really big. All right, that's enough of this shit. Let's just end the fucking stream. This is fucking stupid. Let me read out the last donation. Fucking kill me. One of these days, I'm going to make a cohesive fucking point on this subject, okay? Sage Franz writes with the $2, I sold my dog to donate this. Fuck you. Lily with the $5. Number 1, please let me know where you got the t-shirt in your last vid. I got it from Anime Expo. I don't know the vendor. Number 2, the Vice LGBT video and your points on Blair White shitting on NBs to get brownie points with bigots was something I needed to hear. Well, Lily, if you liked me shitting on Blair White, my points on Blair White shitting on NBs, you'll love the ContraPoints video. No, yeah, thank you. No, I enjoyed my discussion with her very much. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Bitch, please, the $2. Would you give your ass up to Gwendolyn? Also, who would you rather fuck, Frieza, Goku, or Vegeta? All Dragon Ball Z characters look fucking disgusting. And yes, I'd give my ass up to Gwendolyn easy. The Fake Trumpet with the tier 1 sub. Notice me, senpai? Consider yourself noticed, comrade. Thank you very much. A.N. Windsor with the $1 hentai is canceled. Hopefully not. Frenic31 with the tier 1 sub. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Darth Vadent with the $2. Thank you. What's your opinion of Maoism, Third Worldism? Third Worldism is fucking trash, okay? Absolute fucking trash, and I'll talk about it in the future, unquestionably. Creative Nothing with the $2. Creeper. And then again with the $2. Aw, man. And then with $5. So we back in the mine got our pickaxe swinging from side to side, side to side. Nice meme. Now that's epic. Gamer time. Josh Ferguson with the $2. When are you going to stream Sekiro again? Soon. I want to finish Majora's Mask though first. I'm on a nostalgia bin. And Creative Nothing with the $5. The tenets of anarcho-syndicalism, logically concluded from an egoist worldview, is now the only thing people are allowed to call based or woke. It's true. Only my perspective is valid. Thank you, Creative Nothing, for being the first one bold enough to reaffirm this truism. I really appreciate it. All right, comrades. That stream got meandering towards the end, but what matters is that we had a good-ass time. I'll probably stream Majora's Mask later tonight, so look out for that. I love you all very much. Have yourselves a wonderful day, okay? Huh? Oh. If you want to, and if you want to see the shirt that I have, this shirt, then just type !shirt in chat and it'll link to the vendor. It's a good shirt, okay? Enjoy the shirt arena, cappuccino. All right, farewell, my friends.